Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present this. Um, Along with me, I have two co-authors here, Dr. Razi and Dr. Nalaka Vikramasinghe from University of Canada. And my topic is, my title of the research is Adapting Digital Entrepreneurship in Banking Industry Towards Digital Economy in Sri Lanka. So as one of the developing countries, the banking industry in Sri Lanka is looking for an exponential growth. The banking industry has experienced a constant evolution by transforming the entire banking industry landscape. As a result, the banking has produced much better customer experience, digitized products, services, and operations, and ultimately to achieve the digital banking concept. The evolution is driven by the digital entrepreneurship, where this transformation should be covering entire society. However, the leadership taken by central bank as of today, which is unknown to the industry. To pursue this research, as researcher, extract the data using research questions via interviews to build theoretical framework and new knowledge where inductive research approach is applied. As a researcher, I adopt the case study strategy with multiple cases to examine the banking industry. Let's look at the summary of the banking industry. The financial system in Sri Lanka is primarily dominated by the banking sector, which consists of 32 banks. Nearly 60% of the total asset of financial system which belongs to these 32 banks, which totals up to 11.8 trillion as of end 2018. However, only 5% of the total transaction went through the digital platform, according to Central Bank Report 2019. In developed countries, whereas this ratio goes up to 70%, transaction goes through the digital channels. So one of the findings says that nearly 30 to 50% of the profit of the bank could be at the risk due to this digital entrance. So that could be one of the reasons, but that's not the only reason why this is been not transforming. So let's look at where we position ourselves in terms of this digital transformation. Before that, we try to understand what is digital transformation and what are the steps. The term digital is very broad. We wrote the digital watches since 1970s, and we had digital telephones and thermometers a few decades ago. But this is not digital transformation. Last couple of years, we have been bombarded with these digital. So it doesn't, the buzzword doesn't make it easy for any organization to, that start their digital transformation. But it just can't be something you don't understand as well. So digitalization is if you are working only on the aspect of your internal organization and your customer relations. For example, let's say you install a new CRM system and you upgrade your digital marketing efforts, and this is called digitization or digitalization. It is not a bad thing, but it is not truly transforming your organization. So on the other hand, if you're working on a product and business model and make marketing competition, and then you are working on innovation that transform entire organization to be able to cope up with current and future changes caused by the digital technologies. In definition, the digital transformation is a migration of enterprises and society from third to fourth industrial revolution, with the goal to become an exponential organization. However, what we see today is most of the organizations implement solutions to fix the issues and challenges using digital technologies. It is not the main objective to become a digital organization. Let's look at what is this fourth industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution came about through the intervention of the propagation of steam as a source of power. The steam was followed by the second industrial revolution, which is electricity, the mass production and the communication. Then the third revolution is characterized by computerization and the digitization. So each each of the revolution is built upon on top of the existing, on top of where they came before, and it achieved the steps as scope, and the scale also has similar impact on that. But this inexpensive digital technologies are all around us today, which are disrupting the industries and economies, and also the societies, which signaling us a drawn of fourth industrial revolution. While previous industrial transition occurred linearly, then the geometrically, the fourth industrial revolution is evolving at an exponential rate. The impact and the velocity of change is unprecedented. The effect is traditional mode of business, which business and the engagements can be disrupted and almost rendered obsolete over the night. That's the power of this fourth industrial revolution today. This approach of digital transformation, which usually coming from the mindset called the digital entrepreneurship, the idea to lead toward digital technology implementation by a strong entrepreneurial character, which is called the digital entrepreneurship. The digital entrepreneurship is an entrepreneurial exercise that transfer assets, service, or significant part of the business model towards digital. So therefore, the innovation is a center of economic change, which is creating the creative destruction. This reproduces to realize the potential through the heavy technology investment. But this technology investment or towards technology, it doesn't come, just don't come in. The psychological event that influence and determine the top management long-term direction towards the business strategy, towards technology adoption, which is usually come from the leadership and the strategy. This theory was clearly explained by the Thomas Friedman. He has introduced this philosophy to identify why some leaders are for and some are against the concept of globalization, which is directly connected with the technology adoption as well. In any social context, there is a mix of Lexus and olive tree. The composition will determine the long-term direction of technology adoption and the transformation as well. Therefore, Lexus and olive tree mindset of top management might determine the direction of business strategy and the technology adaptation, hence the digital transformation of an organization, which lower the barrier of entries to globalization while offering consumers a comfortable environment and move them very quickly. As practical gap, the technology adoption in banking industry has been a question in developing countries like Sri Lanka. Mainly the findings of this existing studies in this banking sector of digital transformation through technology adaptation contradicts with the digital economic goal of Sri Lanka. So these findings have raised the question whether the technology adaptation in the banking industry in Sri Lanka is not sufficient to bring the digital transformation to the banking industry. Therefore, in this research, I try to find the factors that might influence the digital transformation in banking industry in Sri Lanka. For that, before that, let's look at the empirical gap as well. So there's hardly any published study evaluate this empirical gap in the business of leadership, business leadership and the digital business strategy and technology adaptation in banking industry in Sri Lanka. Even globally, there is no combined study has been done, but there are siloed studies. There is a gap between the availability of emergence of technology and lack of use of technology due to the knowledge and the awareness or in the low technology acceptance. So emergence of the knowledge gap due to rapid rate of digital innovation have created a pace that business leaders are unable to get to know one technology. That means We usually get the technology 2 to 3 years later once it is introduced in the developed countries. By the time we implement and start realizing the technology, new technology would have been come in and we would have been enforced to switch to the new technology or the different technology. This way, we cannot truly experience the true potential of the technology that we have incorporated. So let's look at that my theoretical guideline, which talks about how we can do this transformation. So based on the findings, I developed a digital transformation framework with a subsystem of digital entrepreneurship, which creates opportunities and strategies for the digital economy. Here are three main supplementary theories have been proposed: innovation theory out of Schumpeter's disruptive innovation theory, and social construction of technology theory, and knowledge gap theory with the intersection of Lexus and knowledge philosophy. As a researcher, I intend to find out how business leaders will influence the digital transformation using a data-driven visualization approach. This way, it contributes to the theoretical understanding and development of digital economy through the digital transformation. This is a problem statement where IT infrastructure is coming fast to Sri Lanka. But some are adapting the technology at evolutionary, but not at the revolutionary level. That means we are the users of the technology, but the banks are not producing any innovative business models or the products. Therefore, digital transformation is not producing the required outcome as expected in Sri Lanka. So is it the human issue? Yes, it related to the leadership and strategy. So this might be due to the autocratic behavior of the banking system, where the banking, they import the tools and technologies which are selected and approved and implemented by the banking system rather than consulting the consumer or the main stakeholders. As per the current practice, it can be seen that technology adaptation in Sri Lankan banking sector is very much in line with developed technologies elsewhere, rather than the real need of the local customers, which are not exactly aligned with Scott's theoretical argument, where the bank should recognize the local needs and adapt the technology in solving their problem. The three research questions out here were the how leadership, business leadership and digital business strategy and technology adaptation influence on the digital transformation in banking industry in Sri Lanka. The objective to explore the influence of business leadership, digital business strategy and technology adaptation on digital transformation in Sri Lanka. A significance of this study is to illustrate the value of digital transformation theoretical concept and how it relates to the innovation, knowledge gap and Scott theoretical perspective with Lexus and knowledge philosophy for the deeper understanding. The concept drawing from digital transformation literature in existence with the digital entrepreneurship and how innovation transform the financial and economic model and how banking industry transform through the disruptive technologies. Finally, it identifies the elements of successful digital transformation and how to assess your firm's digital maturity. The methodology that we use here, where the research, as a researcher, that I use the qualitative case study method to investigate the phenomenon through the empirical inquiry in real life context to realize the business of theorizing digital transformation concept guidelines. The phenomenon of interest on the digital transformation is contextually tied, which involves the political, social, and technological dimensions. This way, it evolves into the effectual process of digital transformation by an inductive approach, because the context is influenced by social, political environment dimensions, which cannot be done, or it is very difficult to do it through the quantitative approach. So the data are gathered from interviews and observations, and primary data can help narrative the theoretical understanding to transition of the conceptual framework which was developed here. The case study research is an in-depth study which can explore the present and past issues and the effect of one or more group of organizational, social, political, and related phenomena. Here we purposely select three case studies representing highly transformed bank, moderately transformed bank, and the low-level transformed bank. We conduct in-depth conversation with the relevant actors, up to 5 to 7, from each organization, who can express their views on the issues and strategies, leadership, and the digital transformation in their respective organization. I undertake the documentary review concerning the policies, implementation, and practice of digital business strategy, business leadership, and technology adaptation and digital transformation in respective organization. I engage with the substantive reflection on ideals I should pursue on obligations about overcoming the digital transformation issues within the context of digital entrepreneurship in Sri Lankan banking industry. The evidence are gathered within the themes by interview. As findings, where the banks have moved from product centricity to customer centricity, the gap between availability of technology and use of technology is mainly due to the lack of knowledge and awareness. Number two, the technology acceptance. So therefore, determine the direction towards the development. And technology implementation must be taken from a strong entrepreneurial character. Therefore, the leaders to identify the opportunities available for innovative technologies, and then they adopt towards the low-cost platform, and they should be able to bring down the cost, or they should be able to increase the revenue. Ultimately, they should stay ahead of their competition. For this, the framework has been proposed or to promote to technology adaptation and create the disruptive business models. Here, the Scott model is being applied, where the digital transformation framework approach is influenced by the interplay element of Scott theory, which includes the policy, skills, spirit, and framework approach to the larger economic, political, and social scale. The bank should recognize the local needs and adopt the technology in solving the problem of the consumer. However, the banking environment to radically alter the business activities as well. The leadership and strategy, where every business leader is to take the digital business designed to experiment the infinite digital practice in the enterprise. However, the leadership should have the environmental awareness and innovative thinking. In a regulated environment, leadership given by the government intervention in favor of digital presence in direct transactions with the customer is highly important. So the innovation always should go through the structural change with a combination of leadership and the strategy. This way they can identify new methods for launching new products, service, and entering into new market and acquiring new skills for their employees in the organization. Finally, this study will contribute into the improvement of digital transformation, not only on banking industry. With minor changes, this can cater into the other connected industries as well. That's the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for listening to me. I'm open for the question and answer. Thank you very much.